What's up everyone, Lance Hedrick here, and today we're going to look at the Drink Morning. Now this is a machine that just entered the market somewhat recently, and essentially it is a smart Nespresso machine. Now what do I mean by that? Well, if you watched my video last week on the Decent Espresso machine, this is essentially the Decent Nespresso machine. But in all reality, it is an espresso machine that can pressure profile and temperature profile. So we're going to take a look at this and get some live reactions to tastings of some of the pods that I have, see who the roasters are they're working with, and how they function as far as their kind of business model with what they are trying to do with their machine. So let's go ahead and take a look at this. All right, so the first thing I'm wanting to take a look at is how the machine is kind of put together. All right, so just kind of looking at the ergonomics of it, how everything kind of fits on there in this small, sleek design. So first on the back, we have this easy to remove water tank that you can put your own water in. Of course, I like to play with my water, so whenever I'm putting it in, I mess around with the water recipe depending on what coffee I'm trying to brew with, because I'm trying to really epitomize flavor. But if we're being honest, the target market here probably won't be doing that, so let's keep that in mind. We have a built-in scale right here, and you have the ability to calibrate by going through the settings. You'll just go on here, you'll hold these two buttons together until settings comes up. And then we're just going to go to scale mode. We'll actually go to settings, and you'll go down to calibrate. But you're able to calibrate the scale on here. You have this little dish that can catch dribbles. All right. Right here is where the pods will fall into, and you're able to take this part out to hand wash or do whatever you might want with it. All right. Put that back. And then you have the menu here, which you can scroll through, and it has a lot of options for different built-in profiles. But on top of that, on top of what is built in here, there is a morning app. And in this app, once it'll load, and in this app, you can go through the different roasters they're partnered with. You can click on a roaster. You can click on one of their coffee options, and they have built-in profiles that the roasters themselves have chosen to be the best supplement or the best recipe for their coffee. So you have a lot of options, and you can even create manual brew options. So you can create your own profile and replicate that depending on your flavor preferences. So it's a simple breakdown of the machine. You also have, this is where you put the pod in. You lift this up, pod goes in right here, and then you push it down. To release, you open it and kick it back and push back down, and it's released into this little bin. Okay, so very simple machine to use. You can use your phone to brew, or you can just scroll through the menu on here to click whatever brew method you're wanting. Now, as I said, yes, this does temperature and pressure profile. You can choose how much output you want because you have a scale, so it's doing it based off of gravimetrics. You can choose if you want the pressure to go up to 7 bar and then hold there, then drop to 3. You can change the temperature. You can have the whole shot pull at 97 degrees or 89 degrees. So you have a lot of control. But again, I ask, who are the Nespresso drinkers wanting that control? I don't know. Maybe it's targeting people that aren't just Nespresso. So let's go ahead and give this a look. I did a lot of tests in preparation for this video using my trusty Atago refractometer. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull that out because we'll probably refract some today. And of course, y'all better believe I have the magic. And just a quick aside on how I refract, I follow Jonathan Gagne's steps on refractometry, which I'll link in the caption below. But I'm extraordinarily anal when it comes to cleaning my equipment because I understand how particular these readings are. The one thing I do want to note is when I was measuring these, I was measuring so many of the pods that I did not want to waste a lot of those expensive VST syringes. So I was doing it unfiltered. It should be noted that this is a lot cleaner coffee than espresso is, but I still should have syringed. This will mean that the percentages will skew a little high, but not a ton. I don't think it has that grave of an effect. But anyway, I'll be relying on some of those numbers I've ascertained previously, but I'll also do a couple of refractometries on the video so that y'all can see exactly what I'm saying. Okay, well, let's go ahead and let's pull an espresso. We're going to do just one of their blanket coffees, and we're going to do what's called the bloom and brew. It's going to bloom for 20 seconds, so it's going to spray water into the pod, for 2 to 3 seconds, and it's going to just hold it there and bloom. All right, it's going to have a bloom phase, kind of like the blooming espresso shot Scott Rayo made famous. It's going to bloom for 20 seconds, and then it's going to creep back up to around 7, 8, 9 bars for the remainder of the shot. Now, something else that should be noted is in these capsules, here's a couple of boxes. I went through and I broke open a lot of them and I weighed the dry mass. And now I know that they're going to be a little inconsistent, but to be honest with you, it was down to I cannot open this box. There we go. I'm sure that they're a little inconsistent from pod to pod, but in reality, as I was measuring them last night, all of them, regardless of roaster, were sitting around 5.6 grams. All right. Some of them had 5.65. Some of them had around close to 5.7, but 5.6 was the mean. But yeah, so these are about 5.6 grams. The normal shot pulls or recommends you pull about 25 grams out. So that's a 1 to 4, 1 to 4.5, a little over a 1 to 4 ratio, which is quite a big ratio for something emulating espresso. And then that's actually one of the shorter ratios. If you go to their Lungos, it's 80 grams out, right? And you can even go up. They call for 120 grams on some. So that's a massive ratio, right? So we have ratios from 5.6 to 20 grams, which is for their milk shots. So something you can add milk to, which we will do later in the video. And you have it all the way up to 5.6 grams to 120 grams of water, or of output, I should say. So this has a wide range, and different roasters call for different profiles for their pods. But of course, that's on the user to decide. And that also brings up the question, what user is going to actually scroll through the app and decide on which profile based off of the roaster's recommendation? I'd hope that people will do that, but I'm skeptical, because it seems to me that most people that get Nespresso machines are just wanting to click and zone out. Anyway, I keep delaying the inevitable. Let's go ahead and pull a shot, and let me go ahead and grab some more of these roasters over here. So, ones that I have are from April. This is a Rwanda, all right? We have one from Colonna out in England, and this one it's called Discovery Long. It's a Burundi, a Ramiro Natural. And then, this was a Burundi, I apologize. So we have 2 Burundis. We have this from St. Ali, which is their Orthodox House Espresso blend. And then we have Center Coffee. This is their Friday capsule. And I can't read what it is. So, yeah. And on here it says 5.5 grams, but I found that they were all closer to 5.6 grams. I did bust them open, as I said, a lot of them. All right, so I'm going to start off with this this Friday capsule, and we're going to take a look at what they recommend to brew it with. So I'm going to pull up the partner roaster. So we go to Center Coffee. I'm going to do the Friday capsule, and I'm just going to click brew coffee once I put my cup on the tray. Now, something to note, one of my pet peeves of this is if you put the cup in the center, which intuitively is what you would think to do, the spout is going to almost miss the cup. It will dribble down the back side. You've got to put it on the back edge, but it can't touch the machine or it'll skew the scale, right? So you have to get it all the way, like pretty much to the back to ensure you're not missing the cup. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and click brew coffee, which is right here. I'm going to go boop, brew coffee, and it says now brewing. What's going to happen, if you can see onto this screen, is it's going to start heating up. So it starts at around 70 Celsius, and it heats up rapidly. Because it's such a small machine, it has a quick heating mechanism. So it's going to heat up rapidly. We are currently at 77, 78, 79, 80, 81, and so forth. And this profile calls for 92 degrees Celsius. So, actually, I'm going to take this off and zero the scale. Yeah, it stopped the progress because it doesn't have a cup on there. But I wanted to see the accuracy of this. So we'll put this back on, and I'll continue the shot. And there we go. So it's now done pre-infusion for like 2 seconds, 1 or 2 seconds. And then it immediately starts. So there's not much of a bloom on this one. And here we go. So the coffee output's at 10, 11, 12, and it's showing me live updates on the scale. I'm not sure how accurate that is. It's kind of difficult to test that. I guess I could put my lunar on it, but let's see. So we're going. And as you see the pressure profile on here. It starts at around 4 bars, goes up to around 8, and then it comes down to around 2. All right? So you have the pressure curve on here. This is done in around 20 or so seconds. I'm going to take this off, and we're going to see how much it weighs. Wow, actually, that's right at 40 grams. I doubt you can see my scale, but it's 40 on the dot. To be honest with you, this is not consistent with what I was doing last night. This is the first time it was within half a gram of what it should be. So that's really impressive. Wow. It's 40.0. That's really impressive. All right, well, without much further ado, let's give this a stir and a sip. So I'm going to grab a spoon real quick. All right, so I'm going to stir it with the back of this cupping spoon. All right, let's see how this tastes. So this was 5.6 in, 40 out. So like a 1 to 7, a little over a 1 to 7 ratio. So let's see how this tastes. It smells, I'm not gonna lie, it smells like Nespresso. And what I mean by that is watery espresso. All right, let's try it. So this is obviously a dark roast, a darkly roasted coffee. Quite bitter. It actually has, the body's not that bad actually. So tasting this, it actually tastes like it was extracted pretty well. And to be honest, that does line up with what I was measuring it at. This coffee was the highest performing coffee regarding extraction yield. Let's pull one of each of these. So I'm gonna go ahead and get that prepared. I'm gonna put I got one from Maxwell, and then we're gonna do one from Patrick. All right. So it should also be noted while we're talking about this, that all of their capsules, Morning commits to doing either recyclable, like this one here, or compostable, like this one here. So whenever you're getting them, you're not filling landfills unless you're not properly disposing of them. And they do have ways on how to dispose. And I think even on Colonna, they have, find out how to recycle on colonnacoffee.com/recycling. They're aluminum capsules, fully recyclable, and these are fully compostable. So anyway, we're gonna take a look at the bloom and brew on both of these and note the differences. So here's the first one, it's Colonna. And here we go. We got a bloom and brew. Here we go. So on this, it's heating up. You'll see it ticking up on here, 80, 81, 82. And then it's going to do a 2-second or so pre-infusion, and it will bloom for 20 seconds. So here's the pre-infusion. And stopping, and here it goes with a 20-second bloom. And so this is really where you're going to find an increase in extraction versus just a normal Nespresso pod that's just kind of going through the extraction quickly. This one is going to take a little bit longer. I did average about 30-second shots. So that means after the bloom, it's only running 7 or 8 seconds. Except this one went up to about 40, 45 seconds, as well as Center Coffee. And again, that's one of those things I'm not quite sure how or why that happened, but it did. So we're going to take a look at this. This one is almost done. There we go. And our machine beeped at us telling us, you're ready to enjoy. All right, so this one's done. All right, pull that to the side. And then we got the April one right there. Here we go. And brewing. So again, it's going to heat up. It should get there pretty quickly since we just brewed, and then it's going to go through the pre-infusion, it'll bloom, and then it's going to ramp up to the full pressure. So here we go with the pre-infusion. Now we're blooming. All right, and for this, I'm going to measure on my Atago, unfiltered, mind you, these. Before coming here, yesterday I completely cleaned out. I have these glass pipettes so I can reuse. I completely cleaned the mess out of these, so they are good to go. So here goes the April, and now I'm actually finding inconsistencies. This is not aligning with what I was finding last night, so let's go ahead and watch this one. This one's now going slower than the Colonna. And I'm wondering if some of that is just from the back-to-back-to-back shots, but this is definitely not consistent with my testing from last night. All right, so I'm gonna snag a sample of each. All right, so we've let that sample cool, and now I've put a few drops onto the dripper here. I'm gonna take my little magic, which is allowing me to use even less liquid, so I have less particulates on the dish so I can get a more accurate reading, and I'm gonna click go. So let's see where this is sitting at. Now remember, typical espresso sits anywhere from 7 to 11 TDS, and so we're gonna take a look at where this is sitting. All right, so this is sitting right at a 3.64, and this was the Colonna capsule, all right, 3.64. Now I'm gonna clean this. I've got, and I'm gonna have to re-zero it with some distilled water, clean it really nice. I also have my microfiber. I just want to ensure you all know I'm being as clean as possible. All right, so give me a second and I'll have it reloaded. All right, so we're back, and I'm going to take my magic once more, put it on top of the sample from the April coffee, and I'm gonna hit that read button. Let's see where this one's at. This one's actually higher this time. So this is at 4.19. So, well, something that is new. Last night they were pretty consistent, but today they are pulling way different. So we're at a 4.19 with the April this morning, whereas last night I was at I have it on my phone. The couple that I measured last night were at 2.55 was the average, and the Colonna was at 3.81. So that's pretty close to what we did today, but the April is way higher today. Now I'm curious to do that again. But we will go ahead and stir and sip and see how they taste, because that's really what matters here, right? Okay, that's actually good. There's a lot of blood orange in that. Obviously, the body is nothing like normal espresso. It's honestly a similar body to those turbo shots. I'll link the video right there. Similar body to those turbo shots that I was pulling. And honestly, this, I didn't measure the total beverage weight, but assuming that we have the consistent margin of error of about 1.5 grams, I'm going to assume it was a 26.5 total beverage weight. We're going to multiply that by 4.19 for the TDS. We're going to divide it by the 5.6 average. That's almost a 20% extraction yield. Take into account I didn't filter it. We can take 1 or 1.5 off. Even still, it's over an 18% extraction yield in this cup, which is pretty impressive. Yeah, that's not bad. I need this cleaned off. All right, there we go. Now let's try this one. I hate this. This one's ridiculous. And to be honest with you, I got them mixed up, so I'm not sure which one this is, but I'm sure you saw me move the cups, and whatever box it was in front of is what it was. So this is the Colonna, this is the April. Whatever this one is quite incredible. I assumed this was April, but that could be wrong. Oh crud, now I feel like, can we rewind and see which is which? I feel like an idiot. All right, so we just checked the the tape because I couldn't remember which was which. This is indeed the April, so I was correct, and this is the Colonna. This one's pretty solid. This one's actually like enjoyable, and this is consistent with last night. Last night, this was the best one, hands down. It was quite good last night as well. And this isn't even the roaster recommendation, which we'll pull the roaster recommendation in a second. But this is it's kind of unreal. And again, this is sitting around an 18% extraction, which is solid. But again, the fear is obviously inconsistency, because last night the four readings I took on April were all sitting around 13 to 15%. It jumps around using the same brew, so it's kind of difficult to know what's going to happen. And maybe that's because this is still relatively new and I've pulled less than 100 on it. But you know what? Let's pull another and see if it pulls in the same amount of time. I have more espresso. Now, while this is brewing, I'm going to go ahead and just let you know all of the other pods that I did try were not good. They were not pleasant. They tasted like Nespresso. There was really no perceptible difference, and I'm assuming that goes hand in hand with maybe the quality of the coffee, or maybe it was just a darker roasted coffee, or I don't know what it was. And here we go. This was more my experience last night. You see the gusher? This is more my experience. We'll pull another one just to see if that's fluke. The Colonna pulled the way it normally does. This is what was weird. All right, so we're gonna do this one more time, and you're gonna see live if it's gonna do the same thing. I'm just gonna pull it in the same cup because we're just looking at the flow rate, so not a big deal. I did release the capsule. There we go. All right, here we go. Let's take a look and see if if it does the same thing once more, or if it does the slow shot. Very curious indeed. Well, looks like doing my homework isn't really helping me. No, but while this is brewing, I'm trying to use the time that I can. The center coffee and the Colonna were consistently hitting anywhere from 18 to 19% extractions. Everything else was between 12 and 15%. So quite low extractions, very fast extractions like this. They were, after the bloom, they were taking 6 to 7 seconds to fully extract, whereas center and Colonna were taking 15 seconds after the bloom. So let's see how this goes after this bloom cycle. We have a few seconds left on that. Let's see the consistency here. And this one's pulling slower again. Well, would you look at that? Well, there you go. In real time, you're seeing the inconsistency shine through. I'm going to do one more of the Colonna and see if the taste, if I can repeat this taste. I'm gonna clean these glasses real quick and get back to you. All right, so back with clean glasses. I'm gonna do 2 more with the Colonna, and then I've got one more shot I'm gonna do after that, which is gonna be a milk-based one. So I'm gonna try the Bloom and Brew once more with the Colonna, see if we can get a similar taste as we did a second ago, to see if it is repeatable, or if I'm just having a fluky day with this. Let's see. All right, so we're doing the Bloom and Brew with that, and then I'm gonna do the roaster recommendation. So they recommend a Lungo. So in my app, I'm gonna pull up the Lungo shot, and we'll pull a Lungo, which is about, I think, a 80 gram output, and I'm gonna taste that. And then following that, I'm going to do a milk base, which I will use the center coffee because it's the most pungent. It's a darker roasted coffee, and it'll have a lot more viscosity, and it should be able to peek through with its higher TDS through milk. So yeah, we'll end with those. So let's see this. This is blooming. And this Bloom and Brew is at 90 degrees Celsius, just to ensure you know. So yeah, this one is going a little slower, but this is about what the Colonna has been extracting at. Like I said, a total time of around 40-45 seconds, which includes the pre-infusion and bloom time of 20 seconds. So we're gonna taste this and see if it lines up with that last cup, which was actually quite tasty. All right. So here we go. I'm gonna wipe this off. A little stir. All right. They did a very good job with this. I think I could put this in front of a lot of people, and they would just think it was part of a turbo shot. I'm not kidding. This is there's actually a little bit of grounds in this somehow, but I didn't get any in my mouth. But yeah, this has silky smooth texture. It's not heavy. It's not weighty. It's very much like skim milk. Yeah, the blood orange is just, oh, wow. This is good. This is good. And then we're gonna try the roaster recommendation on this one. So let me pull out my app. I'm gonna pull it out, and we'll just, so for the potential market of this, it is pretty easy. You just scroll through till you find the roaster of your box. You go down to their recommended shot. This one's Discovery Long, and then you just click Brew Coffee. And so this one is going to be a quick ramp up to 9 bars, it looks like, from on the pressure curve. And it's going to go down to low pressure for the rest of the shot for a long 80-gram shot. So we're going to take a look at this, see how it goes. And I will say I noticed the longer the shots, the more accurate the scale was at stopping the machine. So last night when I was doing these 80-gram shots and 120-gram shots, they were always at a really small margin of error. The smaller the shot, the bigger the margin of error. So we're going to take a look at this. This shot last night took, I pulled it a couple of times, and it took around a minute to a minute 10 seconds overall because it was at this slow flow rate the whole time. So last night when I was measuring it, I got this at around a 1.3, 1.4 to 1.5 TDS, so about a filter coffee level drinking strength, which makes a lot of sense because 5.6 grams in with 80 grams out, that is what? A 1 to 14.29 ratio. So, I mean, you're doing filter coffee at this point. So it brews at a pretty nice strength for what you're getting, if that makes sense. So it's still pushing out. It's getting really slow here. All right, so we have this at 80 grams. It's very hot, very, very hot, obviously, as you would expect, because as I say in my espresso videos, which I guess I'll link that there, there's an inverse correlation between water and coffee during extraction. The more water is going through, the more is extracted, the less the water will be inhibited, the hotter the output's going to be, the less viscous the output's going to be. All right, so let's go ahead and stir this and take a little sip, even though it's going to be quite spicy. Let's see. It's really loud. Oh, there's a beat there. Okay, that's enough of that. Let's give it a sip. It's not bad. I'm perplexed on this one. I preferred the Bloom and Brew with this coffee. It was actually quite nice. This, I get the citric acidity, but it is very much muted here. I could take it. It's one of those take it or leave it type things. Something I haven't addressed yet before I do this final shot is when you think about this, these are not giving you nearly the amount of caffeine that you normally would get in espresso, right? It's giving you about a fourth because you're using about a fourth of the coffee, or maybe a third depending on your shot size. So you'd be doing, 2 or 3 of these a day, which is actually kind of nice because it kind of forces you to slow down. But just to bring that up, 1 of these a day is not going to get you your fix if you're used to 20-gram doses. So I thought that would be worth mentioning. All right, so we're going to do 1 more. I'm going to take my cappuccino cup, and we're going to do the milk profile. And honestly, it's probably not a good idea to do that much milk, but I know that most people who are in the market for this are not going to be doing cortado-sized drinks. So I'm going to do the milk profile, which gives me a 20-gram output from 5.6. I'm going to do that into my mug, and then I'm going to use my nano foamer to froth up some milk. All right, we're back, and I have some heated milk. I have my milk shot, which is 20 grams, and my nano foamer. So I'm going to just make some frothed milk, and we'll pour a little drink, see how it takes milk. Now again, remember, whenever you're pulling shots of espresso, you're doing close to 10 TDS, all right? So that is quite high of a concentration. So when you add milk to it, you still get a lot of coffee flavor. So the fact that most people will be doing probably a 6-ounce, maybe even 8-ounce beverage with this, I'm wanting to see how this small amount of espresso can stand up against that much milk. So I am using whole milk, and I'm frothing it the same way I would froth any cappuccino, using the nano foamer by sub-minimal. They have packages, by the way, I noticed last night online. Drink Morning does, where you can get the nano foamer with it. All right, so we're gonna take a little pour with this. I'm in my power stance. Oop, that's a little hard in that cup. Did make a little heart, but nothing fancy. All right, so we're gonna give this a little sip. Let's see. It's definitely like milk with a hint of coffee, but it's not bad. It's not bad. Let's just say this. I've had worse at cafes before. It's got some milk chocolate. Again, I used the darker center coffee capsule because it was pulling at one of the higher TDSs. But this is about a 6 ounce, or about 200 milliliter cup. So that's honestly probably too much milk. I would venture to say it'd be best to just do macchiatos and cortados with this shot. Because yeah, it's mostly good because I love steamed whole milk. Yeah, that's not ideal. Not really what I would. I rarely drink cappuccinos. That's not what I would be looking for in a cappuccino. This is, I think, a very sleek machine. I think there might be a market for it. I think someone like my dad would enjoy it. He wants to get into the coffees that I drink. He prefers when I brew him coffees to what he normally has, but he refuses to. He has no desire to take time to do anything, so he relies on a K-Cup machine. And I think something like this would be good for him. He's someone who's, he's not too lazy where he wouldn't be willing to scroll through to the roaster's recommendation. But I don't know how many people out there are that specific. How many people want this amount of control with Nespresso pods? I'm just not sure. I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Do you think this is the future of accessible equipment? If you have not already, I would love it if you hit the subscribe button, if you hit like on this video, if it was helpful at all. If you have anything to say, please say it in the comments below. I love to interact with you all down there. I have a Patreon if you're interested, so that I can purchase things like this. As I said, it was a Patreon member that was backing this. I did end up getting it for free though. But the more subscribers I get, the more I'm able to get equipment for free, so that I don't need to use Patreon money since I don't have too much, right? For things like this, which is not. I hope you enjoyed the video. Again, like and subscribe if you enjoyed it. If you have one of these, I'd love to hear your thoughts below. If you have thoughts on this, I'd love to hear them below. And if you have any thoughts on this video, I'd love to hear it below. If you like reaction videos, if you like me trying things and seeing my face do weird stuff, thank you so much. And yeah, peace out. I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.